Hello, you guys, and I'm waiting for this. Hello, everyone. Hang on, I've got to wait for my computer to get going over here. It's taking a little while. Come on, computer. Here we go. We're on. So, welcome to Friday's free live webinar at 1 o'clock on Fridays. Thank you for joining me. Today's topic's an interesting one, and I'm a bit excited by it. As per usual, I'm a few minutes early. I like to get super organised and get these things happening. Hello, Pammy. How are you? So, and Karen, and who's jumping on over here? So you guys are on my business page, I think, and you guys are on my personal page, and hopefully we'll come across onto the Soul Junkies page as well. So I'll just wait for a minute until a few people jump on and clear out all my Facebook chats that just keep popping up non-stop as per usual. How's everyone today? How are you two ladies over here? Oops, clicked my thing, hang on. Yep, I'm waiting for your answer, by the way. No, so I'm going to get started. We'll see who jumps on. They can catch it up as we go. So today I want to talk to you guys about past lives. Basically, what is a past life, and if you've never even thought about past lives, how you might recognize that you have been in a past life, or recognize someone that you have in your life now that may have been in your past life. So it's all very interesting topic. It's exciting topic. It's very much off mainstream topic. It's not something that the general public would usually have a conversation around, but it's something that I am getting pretty obsessed with, to be honest. I love it. I can't get enough of it. And that's what these Fridays are all about for me. They're about sharing things that I'm learning and things that I'm interested in and topics that are coming up for me through my life. So today, when I was pondering about what to chat about today, I always think to myself, what's up in my life at the moment? What sort of topics, what sort of things are people talking about? What am I stumbling across in my life? So Gita Bud mentioned you in the comments. If I can't see my comments, Gita, let me have a look. It says I got. Oh, hang on, it's down this page. No, we don't want to navigate away. I don't know how to. There's a new Facebook Live thing, and I can't see my comments. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll keep going. So past lives. So the reason I chose past lives as a topic, well, there's two reasons. So firstly, my friend Pam, who's watching, prompted me to think about this the other day. So I met Pam, probably a year ago, maybe, Pam. And as soon as I met her, I felt like I really had a strong connection with her. I didn't know what it was. I met her and we hugged like old friends. And then we looked at each other and thought, shit, we'd never met each other before. This is weird. And I just felt a really strong connection with her. And I felt this knowing of this lady who I'd never physically met. And it was really interesting. And I didn't give it too much thought after that and continued on with my life. And Pam's been in my life a lot since that. And it was only the other day when we were doing a coaching call where I was talking to Pam and she'd started talking and I just burst into tears. I started crying my eyes out. I don't know what was going on. And later on she came up to me and she said, Michelle, how about this for an idea? Do you think I might have been in a past life of yours? And I was like, oh my God, that makes complete sense. And I've always felt Pam as being a really strong motherly figure to me. And she's one woman that I feel allows me to be like a child. So when she hugs me, I feel like I could just break down and be myself. And she's got this really beautiful motherly essence about her. And she said, oh, I think I might have been your mother in a past life. I said, yeah, I think you might be right. If you weren't my mother, we had a very, very strong bond of some sort. And that's usually how you know when you met someone in a past life. So if you're very new to all this stuff and you want to even know what past life is about, again, all my topics, very hard to explain, very difficult to talk to. But basically, as it says, a past life it's all about reincarnation is another word you could use for it. But basically that our souls are recycled or go back into different physical bodies. Not everybody believes in it. It's something I truly do believe in. I've had too many experiences and I've read too much stuff to think that it doesn't work like that. Now, I don't know the exact ins and outs of how it works, and I'm not going to try and explain to you what happens to a soul when it leaves its body because I don't actually know myself and I don't think anyone does know. But I get the general gist of it. is that obviously our essence or our soul is part of our physical body, and then when we pass on, our essence goes back out into what I call the ether or the Akashic records. So our essence is all our memories, our traumas, our everything that can be captured energetically, and that's pretty much what they call our soul, and it goes out into the ether or the Akashic records or whatever you want to call it, and it's recycled into another physical body. Now, you could get really deep here, and I'm also of the belief that there's no such thing as time. If you really want to really get really deep, that there is past, present, and future is something that us humans have actually made up to survive, that time doesn't exist, and so really past lives are parallel lives, and that this is really complicated, that all of our lives are going on at the exact same time. I'm not even going to try and explain it, but that's a whole nother belief pattern that some people have, and I'm of the swaying of the opinion that, yeah, I think that's what's going on. That feeling you've got deja vu, that you've been somewhere before, or I don't know, and we're never going to know until we pass on. But I do know for sure that there's some people that you meet, or souls that you meet, that you have a very, very strong connection with, and you don't actually know why, and you can't put your finger on what it is. Anita says goody, and Kerry says hello Kerry. Who we got over here? Oh yeah, hello everybody on here. So now I'm reading a book which prompted me, so that the discussion with my friend Pam, and I'm also reading this book at the moment called The Reluctant Psychic. So if anyone watched, I'm not sure if I told you the story of how this book came into my hands. I'll quickly tell it again for those that missed it. Sorry if you've already heard it, but it's a really cool story. I had a mentoring session with a psychic mentor that I did her online program, and talked about, my abilities, and, the fact that I was probably a medium, and I'm very much telling everyone I'm not a medium, which I've come to the conclusion that I sort of am. But anyway, so after that call, I went up to the shops to quickly grab some groceries, and I'd had these books that I'd been trying to place up to the community bookstore, which is just a bookshelf up at the shops, for months. And I kept I'd get up there and then the bag wasn't in the car, or I'd take the bag out. I can't remember. There's all these reasons why I couldn't get it. Finally, I had the books, had them in my car, and I was at the shops, and I was parked in the right zone, and I didn't have the kids. I thought, that's it, I'm going to run these books in. And I've looked in that bookcase a million times before and realised there's just shit. There's no books in there that I'd be interested in. They're all shitty old fictions that I don't like, novels, and I'd stopped looking, to be honest. And this particular day, right after I got off my call with my mentor, I jumped into to dump the books, and it was like there was no other book on the shelf. This is the only book that I saw looking back at me, and I was like, what? And it's called The Reluctant Psychic. And I thought, oh, well, hello. Yep, righto, point taken. And I don't often find books that I really enjoy. I like true stories, and I like things that have a bit of substance to them and have meaning and get a bit thought-provoking. So this is a really good book, and Pam, aka now Mumsy, is also going to have a copy of this when I finish it, so we can pass it on. Really, really interesting. But she talks about past lives in this book, and it's by Susan Saxman, Saxman. If anyone's interested to have a get it or have a read, it's a really interesting story. She was pretty much born a very, very talented medium, but never really fit in. So a lot of these talented mediums and clairvoyants, although they're really good at their job, they can't function in normal life. And I think that's why I'm so grateful that although I have some of these abilities, I also can function really well in mainstream life, and I can connect with the masses and connect with people that aren't so spiritual, that I'm more mainstream, which I think is one of my strengths. Anyway, so she's had a really struggled upbringing, and she's always had this affinity with the guy that played Oliver in the movie Oliver, and he's like a child star, and obviously as she grew up, he grew up. And Beck saying, "Are you doing readings?" Yes, reluctantly, Beck, reluctantly. Oh, it's just yes. I'm just going to say yes. They're different readings. They're not readings like, oh look, I'm just going to say yes, and I do it my way. Okay. Anyway, off the story. So the book is amazing, and she's always found this affinity with this the character that plays Oliver, and she's her whole life she's obviously very, very much clairvoyant and a medium. Always had dreams about past times. She's always been like fixated on him. His name was Jack Wilde, the actor. She just couldn't work out why she was obsessed, but she knew she had to meet him, and she spent her whole life trying to meet him. He ended up being one of those child stars that went off the rails, was really, really famous, and then ended up alcoholic, diabetes, really sick. No one could find him, and she couldn't track him down. And it's the best story because one thing led to another. Back later in her life, she finally found out he was going to be at this fair where all the people are like what are they called? B grade actors or old actors that have disappeared will come back and they're all signing all books, and she's like, oh wow, he's going to be there. I finally get to meet this person I have this massive affinity with. I have to meet him. So she's lining up to sign into the hotel to stay the night, and the guy in front of her drops something, and she picks it up and she looks up and it's him. And instead of saying anything, they just hug, and like they know each other. They hug, and then he invites her for coffee and they go off. And it turns out that he is her brother in her past life. They even look similar. Her son looks like him. And then, get this, it turns out that she works out that her father lived in the same place as Jack Wilde's mother in this time where they're all having affairs. And it turns out that, I haven't got to the end of the book, but I'm pretty sure 99% of the thing is that Jack Wilde is actually her stepbrother in this lifetime. What the hell is that? If that's not real, and she knew from the minute she was young that this Jack Wilde was actually connected to her in some way, and she just kept going and trying to find him. And anyway, it turns out they had similar dreams. They'd lived like a block from each other. They had similar life experiences. Amazing. The other book I'd like to share with you, oh no, where did I put it? Oh, it's on the floor. Is this amazing book called by Brian Weiss. So Brian Weiss is a past life regressionist. He is amazing. He's a psychiatrist who took, this one's called Only Love is Real. His first one is Many Lives, Many Masters. So if you ever get a chance to read one of his books, they're amazing as well. He goes into past life. He was a psychiatrist, and he was trying to help people with phobias. And in the end, what he was doing was hypnotizing them to try to go back into their subconscious to work out where their phobias came from. And he had this particular client called Catherine who he hypnotized. She had extreme anxiety, all this stuff going on in life. But it was stuff that she shouldn't have been anxious, and she shouldn't have had these phobias. It shouldn't have been happening. And so he took her back to back to her childhood to try to get into a subconscious to work out where all these phobias were coming from. And then without him knowing, she regressed back before birth. And this is a trained psychiatrist, a scientific man who's written papers, who is very well respected in the psychiatric community of America. And he was like, what is going on here? And she was clearly describing periods of time, history, events, vivid, and all of this. Yes, Tegan's saying this sounds familiar because Tegan's had a few past lives. She remembers all hers. All of this was like she wouldn't have known. And she was saying all this like actual factual information that when they both looked it up later was actually true about past histories and things that she would never have known. And Tegan, one of my clients, has had the same thing. She knows all this stuff, but she doesn't know where. And then she starts Googling and researching and finds out that, yes, exactly what she had experienced usually these past lives for you will come in dreams, or if you go to a past life regression therapist who specializes in that, they can take you back into past lives. It's something I'm really interested in, and I'll probably end up putting that on my list of things to do because I'm so drawn to it, which makes my intuition telling me I feel like I need to do that as well. At the moment, I'm not trained. My sister is, Diane McKendrick, and our good friend Vicky Macareth from Carolee. So they're both out that way. So if you're wanting a past life regression, go see one of those ladies. And when I get my bum into gear, I'll do some training as well. So yes, he couldn't believe it. He just took this lady back and cleared all her phobias, because the phobias and the anxiety and all the stuff that she was scared of in this lifetime was all from past lives. So what happens is they take her back to the past life, and bang, the phobia is gone. So someone that would have an extreme fear of drowning and there's no reason for it, then all of a sudden, after they've done their past life regression, they're no longer scared of drowning. And they were scared of drowning because they drowned in a past life. it's amazing. And the book then goes on to this one, which is Only Love Is Real. And I was going to read you a little bit at the start. It quite gives you a bit of an idea of what it's all about. So basically, this is the bit I wanted to read to you. So this book's about soulmates, people who are bonded eternally by their love and who come around together and together again, life after life. How we find and recognize our soulmates and the life-transforming decisions we must then make are among the most moving and important moments in our lives. Destiny dictates the meeting of soulmates. Now, remembering that soulmates does not have to be your lover. It does not have to be the one that that you are in love with. It can be a soul mate, meaning a friend, a brother in a past life, a mother, father figure, anything. If you have a soul connection in a past life, you are classified as a soul mate. But what we decide, so we said that one. A wrong choice or a missed chance can lead to incredible loneliness and suffering. A right choice and opportunity realized can bring us to profound bliss and happiness. Elizabeth, a beautiful woman from the Midwest, began therapy with me because of her profound grief and anxiety after the death of her mother, which is what I just spoke about. She's also been having problems in her relationships with men, choosing losers, abusers, and other toxic partners. She had never found true love in any male relationship. We began to journey back to distant times with surprising results. And this is the cool bit about this book. You should get it if you haven't got it. At the same time that Elizabeth was undergoing past life therapy with me, I was also treating Pedro, a charming Mexican who was also suffering from grief. His brother had recently died in a tragic accident. In addition, problems with his mother and secrets from his younger days seemed to be conspiring against him. He was burdened with despairs and doubts, and he had no one to share his troubles with. And then he too started to go back into his past lives. Although Elizabeth and Pedro were in therapy with me during the same time period, they'd never met each other, as their appointments were scheduled on different days of the week. Now, what happened in the end with this book is that he realized that they were having the same past lives together. So he had one client in an office talking about a situation in a past life. I think one of them was someone was getting dragged behind a chariot, and he was like they were killing him, and his head was hitting the ground and there was blood everywhere, and the father figure was on the ground and the daughter was screaming, my dad, they're killing my dad. And Pedro and Elizabeth both had the same past life in their sessions. They never met each other. And then what he realized was the same past life, but they were flipped around. So Elizabeth was, say, the daughter, but then when Pedro did his story over here, he was have experience in the past life as the one being dragged along the ground, the father. And then Dr. Brian Weiss has actually put two and two together and went, holy crap, these people are soulmates who are meant to meet in this lifetime, but they'd never met. And here they were in his office knowing the reason why they were so anxious and lonely, because they hadn't met each other yet. And he was then not in charge, but felt completely responsible of, I know this information. I know they're meant to meet in this life. Do I then intervene, or do I let fate take its course? And he tried to do one intervention where he put their appointments back to back and hoped that would be enough. And no, didn't work. And I'll let you read the story, but basically how it works out is that they go off and they do their own thing, and he sees one goes overseas and the other one's leaving. And should I tell the end? No, you have to read it. But let's say there's a happy ending, and it's just mind-blowing how they actually end up together. And it was fate. It wasn't because of this psychologist. He tried a little bit. He didn't want to meddle with fate. And then he went, okay, I've tried it. It didn't work. It's not meant to be. And then it happened in another series of synchronicities. So that's why you've also got to really follow your synchronicity and your coincidences in your life, because you've got to listen and you've got to watch, because they may be leading you to something or someone that you have meant to have met in this lifetime. And if you keep shutting it down or sticking your head in the sand or being really disconnected where you don't even see the synchronicities, then as he said, you're going to take the wrong turn, because a lot of this is there is fate involved, but it's also up to our choices. So if we choose to not see that synchronicity and turn left instead of right, then you may miss this blissful soulmate or this blissful meeting of someone that you have meant to have met. And maybe through your life you may come across them again, but you've got to have your eyes open. I think it's a bit like Sliding Doors from memory, that Gwyneth Paltrow. Pam says it's a fantastic book. Yes, it is a fantastic book. So it's called Only Love is Real, Dr. Brian Weiss. And really funny story around that was many, many years ago, ex-boyfriend took me to a Louise Hay conference down in Sydney, and I got to meet Dr. Brian Weiss, and I got an autograph from him, and it was amazing. And then later on, years later, my sister in this life, Diane, she said to me that basically, she wants to get trained in past life regression. And she's going overseas to be trained by one of the best past life regressionist therapists. And his name's Brian Weiss, Michelle. And I was like, what? Out of all the people in this world, I've actually met Brian Weiss, and she could not believe it. So this is how it all works. Now, the other thing with past life regression is that sometimes, like, how do you know that you have that connection or that soulmate? Chantel said she felt that with the partner when she first saw him. Yeah, that was one of the first things that you'll see. You'll have a reaction when you meet that person. Good or bad, it's a reaction. Usually it's not someone that you feel completely neutral about. You'll have some sort of reaction. You'll feel really drawn to them, but you won't know why, which is what I was like with my friend Pam. You just feel drawn and you can't explain it. This one's a big one, and this one's my sister and I, when dynamics don't match. So when, say, a mother and a daughter, but you always feel like, okay, I'm the daughter, but I just feel like the mother. I always feel like I'm in the mother role. Or with my sister and I always feel like Diane's my big sister, and I've always accidentally called her my big sister, but she's not. She's my younger sister. And Diane's done a fair bit of past life stuff, and it turns out that she was my older brother, I think, in a past life, and did some pretty horrible, nasty things to me. Hence why I'm always seeming to look up to her as an older figure, sister figure, whereas because she was an older brother in my past life. It's fascinating. It's so fascinating. It explains a lot. It explains phobias. It explains unexplained fears, or all sorts of things. And the other thing that you might find is you have a really strong knowledge of a place or a time, and you can't work out why you know this information. Like, you get an A in history, but you don't even know why you know this stuff. And that's usually because you've been there, you've lived in those times. And that's what Tegan had. She'd had a few past life sessions, and she had life after life after life. She ended up cold and lonely. And in this lifetime, she's feeling lonely. And she was having she knew exactly details about these times and periods, even to the point of what they were wearing on their feet, which in the context didn't make any sense. Her brain was telling, well, no, they should be wearing this on their feet. But when she looked into it, this particular, sorry, Tegan, I'm probably telling your story completely wrong, but this particular tribe or group of people wore a different type of shoes. And she found this out historically, but she already knew that because she had seen her past life from her own soul. Really, really cool. So knowledge of history and vivid dreams where you're taken off to places, and I have these all the time. Canada's one for me. I'm taken off to places and they're so familiar. You don't exactly physically know where you are, but they feel like home, and you know something about that place. You can't, it's always unexplainable. I don't know why I'm feeling so drawn to this place. I don't know why I know so much about this place. Some people that are really in tune with the intuition can describe like streets, like this Susan Saxman. She was drawn back to England, and she knew every single street in the whole place. She knew exactly where to walk. She took herself over there looking for this Jack Wild, and she knew all the laneways. She knew where to go. She just knew because she'd been there before. And also meeting someone that you always, when you come together, you feel like you're home. I have a really lovely friend, Kim, who actually lives in Canada. And from the moment I met her, we just bonded. And I remember traveling to Canada with her many years ago to meet up after she'd left Australia. I got off the plane, I hugged her, and we both looked at each other, bawling our eyes out. And I said, Kim, I just feel like I'm home, and I feel like you're like the other half of me. And she said, I know, I feel exactly the same way. It's so cool. And it's really cool to know that you'll meet your loved ones on the other side at some stage. May not be in the same format. And I've had my own past life experience, as I'm sure some of you that are watching have had as well. I actually went to Vicky to get my past life regression done, and it was such a weird. I've got a recording of it, and I know that it was definitely not my brain talking, because everyone knows what I sound like. When you listen to the recording, I am so slow. I would listen to it later on after the fact, and I was like, can you hurry up? Like I was talking in these big gaps like this. My whole voice was different. And throughout, and I was bawling. So I had physical reactions. She took me back to this past life, and I was shaking, and I was visibly really upset. And I was upset because I'd lost my mother and all this stuff. And I was crying uncontrollably, and the emotion just overtook my body. And that's how I knew that it was for real. Even though you're conscious, it's a really bizarre experience. You're not conscious. You're in a hypnotic state. So you're aware of what's going on. You can hear the lady talking. You know that you know that you're in a meditative state. You know that you're sort of in a hypnotic trance. You can control it, but you are also not controlling it. So I was like, my brain's like, this is weird. Why are you talking like this? Why are you crying? Why is your body feeling really heavy? And in the end of it, she said to me, oh, Michelle, who is this in your past life? I looked down, and it was my friend Kelly, and she was also my mum. And I was like, in the past life, I was like, and before I'd even said the word Kelly, Vicky, my past life regressionist, had said she knew I was going to say Kelly. And it's so bizarre because my friend Kelly and my daughter Macy, Kelly's never had children and probably won't during this lifetime. And we always laugh, say she doesn't need to, because I'm her child from another life, and she has that beautiful bond with me. But it's really weird. She also has a beautiful bond, very, very strong bond with my daughter Macy. And again, it's unexplainable. We don't know why. They're just drawn to each other. And I have this gorgeous photo of her holding Macy, looking out to the lake, and they've got the exact same colour hair. They've both got a little ponytail in, both skew-weaved off to the right-hand side, just like an inch or two, nothing planned. Just their little hair was exactly the same. They're skew-weaved, and they're looking at them like, oh, wow. There's definitely some history there, some soul history. It's between my daughter and Kelly, which makes sense. If I was Kelly's daughter in a past life, then my daughter in this life has probably got some soul connection to Kelly as well. So yeah, has anyone got any cool stories that they'd like to share in relation to past lives? Tegan's is probably a bit long to share on here. She's done a whole podcast on it. Tegan came for a healing with me, and I didn't really know too much about all their past lives, but she came out of the healing, and she's like, oh my God, I think it was, I never remember, I think it was 7. She knew she had 7. She had that piece of information, and she'd worked out 6 of them, and the 7th one never came. And then during my healing, which makes me think I need to do past life regression because this comes naturally in my healings. I don't even know what I'm doing. She got taken back to one of her past lives, and it was the last piece of the puzzle that linked them all together. So really cool. Where can you get it done? So yes, my friend Vicky from Carolee did mine, Vicky Makareth. Again, it's probably a little difficult with she does them one-on-one. I actually keep my intuition's telling me I need to contact Vicky today just to see how she's going. And my sister Diane does them. I'm pretty sure she still does them. I'm sure we're all energy. I'm sure it can be done remotely. But put your hand up if you want me to be trained as well. Yes, I'm going to do it. I've just decided I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a past life regression therapist. Not sure where I go to learn how to do that. But I do find that a lot of people on the healing here get taken back to past lives and different time periods. And yeah, I love my healings. I feel so good after I do them. So, yep, Sam says I'm going to learn. Righto. If Sam says I have to learn how to do past life, then I have to learn. How cool will that be? You can come to see me. I'm going to have to get another sign and add something on the bottom of it. I'll have to squish it up or take something out. It would be a pretty cool thing to do. I'm obviously nervous, full of fear. Like, what if it doesn't work? And Vicky said it doesn't always work for every single person. You can't guarantee anything. Louisa, please let me know when you find out where to learn this. Yes, you can learn it too, Louisa. Yes. So it's so funny that Diane's been to America to see Brian Weiss. I've met Brian Weiss in person. We've both been hypnotized by Brian Weiss. So I'd love to be trained by him. Might put that out to the universe. Diane manifested a trip to America with her. It's the best story. She had Esme was still a little baby, breastfed. She says, I'm going to America. So she had to find the money, which just happened. Somehow got a nanny over there. She said, I'll have to take Esme. So I'm going with Esme. Found a nanny to look after Esme. Got on this course when there was, say, 100 people on the course, and 1,000 people had applied or something. It was already full. Somehow she managed to get actually accepted into the course. And then she said, I am going to be pulled up on stage and hypnotized by Brian. And she heard him say, who would like to volunteer? And a hand shot up. And she got picked out of the audience. And there was only about, she said, 8 people that were picked out of this audience to get taken up on the stage. Then they had to do some tests to see how well they were hypnotized. And what do you know, Diane was one of them that got hypnotized by his wife. It wasn't him. But, yeah, how amazing is that? And the fact that we've both met him, that's just too woo-woo for me. At complete different times, and we both didn't know. Like Brian Weiss, like, yeah, he might be famous in the past life world. I don't think he's famous in anyone else would not even know who Brian Weiss is. But, yeah, we both somehow knew who Brian Weiss and he's from America, and we've both physically met him in different times. So, anyway, sorry, I've got Facebook messages popping up everywhere. Sorry. I'm getting to those messages if I know one of you on his messaging now. I can see it. Multitasking. Okay, so I think that was it about past lives. Let me check if I've written. I didn't do too much research on this because I just wanted to have a general chit chat about it. Oh, there was one interesting thing I did find out, that you can go through your astrological birth chart and find out if the person you're with, if their astrological birth chart and your astrological birth charts line up, to see if you're an actual soulmate, which I found really cool. There's a podcast that Emily Shine does. It's called the Earthed Podcast, and she interviews the lady that does the astrological birth charts. She's so down the line, and she pretty much says, if they're asking me, I think it was her that said this, or somebody else, if someone's coming to me asking if their partner's their soulmate, then they're clearly not. Because she's of the opinion that you just know, which you do, but how cool would it be to have it confirmed with your astrological birth charts? Sam, I want to do that. Yes, so check out Emily's Earthed podcast. Really simple. Just jump onto Spotify and search Earthed podcast, and you'll see Emily's things. I'm in there too. There's an interview by me, which is super exciting. And then I plug it in the car into my Bluetooth. When I'm driving anywhere or when I'm walking, I put it on, and she interviews people of all sorts of different things, and it's really, really cool. My sister Diane also does a podcast as well. I'm not sure where you can. She just started that one, so if you're interested in that, let me know. That's about it. We talked about the 2 books. Talked about Brian Weiss, past lives. Yeah, I think that's it. It's all very, very cool stuff. And I'm sure you girls that are listening and guys that are listening probably have your own stories. And if you do, I'd love to hear them. So jump onto our Soul Junkies Connect page, our Facebook group, Soul Junkies Connect, and make sure if you've got some cool past life story, share it on there. Let us know what it is, because I want to get this information out to as many people as possible. Okay, so we're going to finish up as normal before I leave. I make sure everybody knows what I've got upcoming. So make sure you join the Facebook group, Soul Junkies Connect. And also I'm running an online soul school, which I run at the moment monthly. The April one is going great guns. It's a 4-week intensive program, and it's amazing. So there's usually only about small numbers, so it's a real community, 12, 13, 15 max participants, and it's daily videos and daily soul work, so you actually have to take action on this stuff. You can't just learn about it, and it's about reconnecting with yourself and learning a bit more about how your spiritual and your energetic and your physical bodies all connecting together, and it's really cool. I'm loving it. I love it, and each month I go and do it with them, and I get my own aha moments, and then we all share on the page, and it's really cool. Yeah, so the price for that is $590, but the beautiful thing is we are offering it for $150 off. So if you're an essential worker, so obviously nurse, health worker, police officer, ambulance, frontline, like even your supermarket workers, I would love to offer that $150 off to the people that are copping it out there. You know who you are. If you feel like you're eligible for the $150 off, come and see me, because there's a lot of people going through some hard times, and I just like to give back. So yeah, $150 off that. And the last thing I want to talk about is my Cacao Circle, which I run monthly, and it is on the first Friday of each month. I was doing them here face-to-face in my beautiful space. However, as we know, that's had to be postponed. So I now run them online, and it's still as powerful. It's really cool. So on the Zoom, and if you don't have cacao, you don't need cacao, it is much nicer with cacao. But if you'd like to buy some, I sell it for $25. It's just pick up from Forest Lake, or I'm not going to get some prices to get it couriered actually. Australia Post charging me about $10 a bag, and the bags are only $25. So that's a bit, so I might see how much it costs for a courier of some sort. Or you can pick it up, or you can just come to the cacao ceremony, enjoy the meditation and the sharing with a warm drink, a nice hot chocolate, or buy some cacao powder at the shop. Yeah, so we have heaps of stuff coming up. Retreats coming up. My sister and I are now conjoining our retreat, so we're going to do half and half. She's like, oh, it's really going to be good. I can't wait. Up to this point, it's been more Diane's retreat, and I've sort of helped out around the edges, but now we're going to meet and we're going to make this proper. Like, it's going to be a conjoined, you're going to get the spiritual and energetic woo-woo stuff from me, and I'm going to hold space to do things like this, and then it's going to be conjoined with her life coaching, and it's going to be a 4-day retreat, and we have a beautiful place we're looking at the moment in Pullenvale. I'm not sure if it's available yet, but so much stuff going on. Anyway, I love you guys. I'm going to go. Make sure you follow along at home, and I'll see you next Friday for our Free Friday live webinars. Please let me know if there's any topics you'd like me to talk about. And if you watch this later, make sure you do #replay and put any questions. All right. See you guys. Bye. And I'll see you guys next Friday. Bye.